what's up, everybody? It's another Tuesday night. Tonight we got a good one. We have Romel on. He doesn't need any introductions. He's the kayak rigging wizard. We will be getting a hold of. I know we had a Yakavaston Pedro last weekend, so we'll get a hold of Shaw and see if he can't hop on next week. Along with Anthony Garcia is going to hop on next week, talk about his big win out there in South Carolina, getting on the USA fishing team. So without further ado, Johnny, what's up,
Good
buddy?
morning. Good morning.
Your,
How you
your
guys doing out
names
there?
are always going to be a surprise. What's John's name going to be today?
Struggling Johnny.
That's right.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, let's bring this guy in. Romel, how you doing, bud?
What's up, fellas?
Well,
How are you?
Welcome.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hopping on tonight. Yeah, appreciate it. So
Not
Good
a
to
what's
have you
problem.
here.
yeah, what's
It's
new
good
and
to have you
exciting
here.
in the world of Romel?
Yes.
New and exciting. Oh man, there are a lot of stuff going on. I'm actually so I'm at the I had a trip out here for a big adventure. Uh, bona fide native, all the other brands underneath big adventure. Pretty much been hanging out at the factory and had basically meetings and doing filming and rigging boats and just pretty much everything kayaks, eating, breathing, sleeping it right now. Like I don't already need more of that, but definitely very cool to be. It's the first time I've ever been to a factory or seen where kayaks are born. Very, very cool process for sure. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Definitely a lot of good things going down right now. Everyone's getting ready for ICAST. There's going to be some cool stuff coming out this year at ICAST. Can't really go into detail, but a lot of companies are definitely low last year, and not a lot came out last year. But this year, I think you guys will be pretty excited about what's coming in. So yeah, be be a lot of fun this year for sure.
I can't wait to see what you have rigged up for the team back there with Big Adventure. It's gonna be pretty sweet.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I actually did uh, one of the reasons I came out here. We did a full boat rig boat, PWR 129 for Justin Floyd, who's a bona fide guy, and had um, Westbrook Supply, which is a pretty big like outfitter in Georgia. And Fletch Griffin, they came up from Georgia to pretty much hang out with me and do the build together. So we did PWR 129 with Motor Guide XI3 bow mount, Dual 106 Ultra 2s, Live Scope, of course, and of course NK300. Uh, I mean, it's not a crazy build, I guess, if you in today's terms nowadays and seeing what people are putting on their boats. But I mean, it's pretty heavy duty. But but like I said, in today's terms, nothing crazy that we haven't seen before. But pretty damn cool still.
Yeah. What do you
Ye-
think the next craze is gonna be? What are you getting a
Oh
feel for something different, or what are you thinking?
no, dude, honestly, I don't know. As far as like motors goes and stuff like that, I mean, we're pretty much maxed out. You're not going to see anything bigger than a 3 horse for a kayak. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as like electronics go, I mean, how much further can we go with graphs and electronics and live scope and whatnot? I mean, I honestly think it's just you're going to see like a better, clearer live scope, probably like a little more beam angle, maybe. I don't know. Um, but as far as kayaks go, I kind of feel like kayak always goes in circles. I feel so. we're at the extreme of technology and basically loading our boats. I kind of feel like it may come back, circle back around to simplistic. Maybe I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then as far as tech goes, oh gosh, I mean, whatever is the latest and greatest technology, what else can come out at this point? You're already watching fish swim around and eat your bait. So
Yeah.
I,
No
I
kidding.
don't, I don't know, I don't know what else other tech you would need. I think, but yeah,
Romel,
it's hard to
do you
say.
think the kayaks are going to get bigger and wider to support all this extra equipment and batteries and all the extra weight and the big guys and all that?
I think there's still room to stay within the realms of quote unquote what a kayak is, and that's a very loose term. What is a kayak nowadays? You look at all our kayaks, and it is what it is. Let's call it what it is.
Hmm.
But that line or that whatever it is that is a kayak, it's so blurred now that um, I don't think there's going to be any clarifying defining factors. So, do I feel like there's going to be a bigger boat out there that's going to come? Probably not much bigger though. I mean, we're not talking like 17 like foot long like the PA 17 or anything crazy like that. I think you'll probably see, maybe another maybe 13 or 14-foot boat that's probably just going to be wide and like really just be able to accept, like you said, everything that you just said, John, like equipment, bigger kayakers, whatever it may be, two dogs, a grandma, and an uncle. I don't know, whatever you want to throw on it, but I think there is still room, but it's there's not a lot of room. That's for sure.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So on the motor scene too, a lot of guys go with two motors. Um,
Mhm.
do you think eventually some of these bow mount trolling motors will become brushless and extremely lighter, much lighter than what we have now, compared
Oh,
to
I mean,
and
gosh,
even even the NK 300? Do you think they're going to kind of lighten that up too? Maybe just
you
are they
know,
just going to go with what they got?
to tell you the truth, I mean, the marine industry, I think honestly is just one of the last like motor and battery industries, uh, you know, like around. It's been a slow transition to get where we are right now. I mean, I raced RC cars for years, and we switched from NiCad batteries and brush motors to lithium and brushless motors. Oh my gosh, like 10 years ago.
Right.
Like all your cordless drills, anything that has a
Yes.
motor
Hmm.
in it, that those all
Brushless.
switched probably 5 or 6 years ago.
With lithium.
Um,
Yep.
but the marine industry, like for some reason, like, and you're starting to see obviously lithium now in bass boats and
Yes.
kayaks is pretty
Hmm.
common now. But the brushless thing, it's just the future. Like everything that has a brush motor in it has now gone brushless. So do I
Right.
expect those bow mounts and whatnot or companies that? Yeah, of course, they have to.
They have to.
Um,
Right.
yeah, the benefits are just too good
Yes.
to not. And
Yeah.
you've seen it. I mean, obviously, Encota just came out with their brushless series. Lowrance and the Ghost and Garmin, those are
Hmm.
brushless.
Yes.
Power Pole, the Move,
Hmm.
brushless. So, but do I feel like those companies are going to put brushless technology into our market space? Maybe a couple, but I don't. I like the ones that you think would. Maybe not. Like,
I'm kind of shocked that some of the other bigger trolling motor companies don't make more. Make one with the shorter shaft to
Yeah. Pacific for
introduce into the
kayaks.
kayak
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
what's
the
sad is
Lowrance, Garmin. I'm surprised they're not doing that.
what's very sad is that even though, and because we're a little biased because we're in our market, and but the actual, if you really think of, if you actually look at the numbers, we make a very, very, very small portion of the industry,
Right.
unfortunately. Still,
Yes.
even though we're
Definitely,
growing,
Ron.
even though we're getting bigger, the ROI to do that is not there for a lot of these companies.
Yeah, their profitability is not
And
gonna, it's not gonna help them out with the profit on what it's gonna cost them to design it, and by the time they sell enough of them, it's not gonna be worth it. So
true,
they're just gonna wait for someone else to do it and then copy
right?
theirs or whatever.
Unless unless it's something that they have already that they can
Yeah.
adapt,
Yeah.
they they won't do it. And that's the thing is that like all these, you see all these brushless motors out right now, they're all over 110
Yes.
pound thrust motors. They're big.
Yes.
They're big motors. I saw a guy put a Kraken on a Garmin Kraken on a Blue Sky Boatworks Angler 360. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was cool, but he was running it, and like he was going full throttle, and that thing was just pulling his boat like it was no tomorrow. But he hit a wake, and the thing almost submarined, and like because it was just digging because
Yeah.
it's so heavy. And the Blue Sky doesn't have a lot of buoyancy or flotation up front. So, but honestly, a lot of are kind of sketchy when you have a bow mount and you're in rough water.
Oh
It's all
yeah.
fun and games when it's flat, but once it gets rough out there with the bow mount on a kayak, it's a little, you got the little pucker factor starts to tighten up a little bit there.
Sketchy.
I mean, um,
Pucker
yeah, it
factors.
is. It is sketchy.
Yeah.
The pucker factor, yeah. Um, honestly,
The the
it's
good the good thing about a
I
kayak
don't know. I don't know.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
And the good thing about a kayak, it's there's not enough power to sink it. I mean, you'll stuff a wave and stuff a wave and stuff a wave, but it always pops back up.
Yeah,
You know, it's not like a bass boat when you get enough power behind you
right.
and you can just literally submarine your boat through a couple waves and then pop back out and you're dead in the
Sure,
water. You know,
sure.
the kayak, yeah, you get dead in the water, but but then
Yeah.
again too, like for me, I have one of those hand pumps in my front storage. If I ever do fill it up, I could pump it out
Mm-hmm.
really quick. It's a hand pump, and I recommend everybody get one of those, especially if you have a bow mount, or any big guy in
And a
any
Yeah.
360
kayak,
drive.
matter of fact, Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
I
Sure.
got
The,
one of mine. I use mine a lot with three.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen people put automatic ones in their boats and their kayaks and stuff, and I'm like, oh, all right, that's pretty cool. You have it
Oh
set
yeah,
up, but yeah, the
I've
thing
done
too
it.
is,
I've done it for sure.
too, with the amount of weight we put in these kayaks, right? If let's say, worst case scenario, you flip it. I've practiced flip and to learn how to get back in the kayak. Now, I didn't have anything in it, and I have a handle I use to flip the kayak back over, and then I learned how to get back in it. So on the P section, after the H rail is where I'll kick and pull myself in and get inside the kayak. And then, but anyways, I never put nothing there in the way. You know what I mean? So, and that's the big deal is with the way the kayaks are going nowadays, I see people with all this stuff to where how are you going to get back in your kayak if you were to flip it? And of course, if you're close to shore, it's not a big deal, but we're not always close to shore, so that's a concern too with these kayaks. And I think everybody should practice that, even in wintertime. See if you could even stand to death. See what happens when you jump in the water in the wintertime. But make sure you
Yeah.
wear your life jacket. But anyway,
In a
yeah.
wetsuit.
So
It's crazy.
So,
I mean,
Romel,
like I was, yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy.
So I have a PA. And I saw how New Canoe has their foot control steering. And David Morse, you did David
Mm-hmm.
Morse's boat, and it was pretty slick how you designed that foot control for the NK 300. So let's just say if a guy wanted to put that on their PA, what would the person have to go about to get everything they needed to do that? Besides, have you do it, unless you want to do them all. But
Oh gosh, I mean, honestly, like that kit, New Canoe, that steering kit actually is. Um, I was actually on New Canoe when they designed it, and it's the engineering and the design that went into that kit is actually quite a bit. And it is not cheap. It's an expensive kit,
Mhm.
but for what it does, I mean, did I lose you guys?
No,
No,
you're
you're
there.
good.
God.
You're good.
Did
You're good.
I lose you?
Yeah, you're good.
Nope, you
On
back
and
him
off.
back out again. Yep. We'll get him back in, guys. But
Yeah.
yeah, safety. We've preached about it with. I'm not gonna say preached about it. We've talked about it a bunch lately, especially with the colder months. Saltwater fishing out here on the West Coast. Things that we definitely need to know how to do, how to handle it. Wetsuits are going to be a thing that I think most of us will probably end up getting and using during the cold months, and especially out in the salt. All right, Mo, we're back.
Hey, sorry about
Welcome
that,
back.
guys.
All
Totally
You're
right.
good.
lost you guys. No, sorry
You're
about
good.
that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know we were talking about the new canoe steering on the
Yes.
Hopi PA.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good system. It's a good place to start, for sure. The hard part about that system, really is the mount that it uses, because New Canoe has a square transom mount instead of a 4-bolt pattern. You kind of have to adapt that into the back, and but it's actually not very hard to do. Newport sells a transom trolling motor bracket, that bolts to a 4-bolt power pole pattern. That's what I use to adapt to it. But there's a bunch of different ways to do it. The difficult part in that whole system is being able to retract the motor without interfering with the steering line. So New Canoe did a very good job about designing that. Um, and a lot of people, you look at it, and a lot of people, oh yeah, it's pretty easy to do. Everything is easy until you get to that one part. And then once you get to that one part, that's where it becomes difficult. And they did a really good job at finding a way around it, um, and then creating a system that is still easy to use and easy to remove, taking those difficult considerations
Right.
into place. So, is it easy to do? Looking at Hobie PA, I know somebody that's done it on a PA already, and it wasn't very difficult. So definitely, like I always said, it's kind of like a little bit of imagination and some spare parts lying around in the garage. You can pretty much do anything. But um, the trick is literally just mounting the transom adaptation mount on the back, and then once you get that done, pretty straightforward. It's one cable that runs up to the front, and it's toe heel steer. It's nice. Why is that better than a 2-foot steering? What's nice about it is that it doesn't take up right and left side. It only takes up one side. And then if you've done foot steering at all with sliders, you literally have to lift one foot and push down the other. So
Hmm.
there is a little bit more of a learning curve there. Whereas the one pedal, it's heel toe, so naturally it's kind of a more natural feel once you understand toe down to turn right, heel down to turn left. So once you get that, I mean,
Pretty
it's
easy.
pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy
Do,
from there. But
do you think someone might come up with a kit where they use basically most of the parts for the New Canoe steering, and have it adapted to several different kayaks? You
I
think
wish
someone
I
might
could
do
say
that?
yes at that point, but the problem is the retail cost on that new canoe steering is
Like 450
it's
or something like that. Yeah.
it's pretty high up
Yeah,
there.
I
So
looked into it. Yeah.
in order to for somebody to get to that point, there's probably better options that you could probably come up with, but you know, who's to say? I mean, somebody can try it. There might be a small market
Hmm.
on there, but I mean, who knows? I run into that all the
Right.
time because I make a bunch of stuff sometimes. I post it up, and I'll get the messages like, "Oh yeah, you should, make a bunch of those and sell them." I'm sure you'd sell 10, maybe the most. I mean, to be honest, it's
Right.
hard. It's hard to do that. Um, but yeah, no, I think it can be done. And I think
Hmm.
you won't go wrong if you get the kit, and you can make it happen for sure. I think I
Right.
no doubt
Right.
about it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. That's what I think. But it's kind of how it goes.
So,
Uh,
when it comes to a bow mount compared to transom mount trolling motors,
mm.
um, for the future, do you think it's going to go more towards the bow? Or are they going to keep the transoms going to be more popular? Or is it going to be like 50-50? Because I know some guys prefer the one in the back and other guys prefer the one in the front. And anyways,
um, hon-
what's your
honestly,
opinion on that part?
I get a lot of messages about that. Would love a different option and whatnot, but to be perfectly honest with you, the numbers are far skewed more towards rear motor in general over across the whole kayak industry. We're not just talking fishing; we're talking recreational. We're talking just a kayak. Rear motors outnumber bow mount motors 10-1, like hands down.
Wow.
Like we're not just talking kayak fishing. We're talking across the whole board of the kayak industry.
Right.
So
Right.
do I feel like bow mounts are good? It's going to go that? No, I don't, because like a lot of kayak bass fishing tournaments, a lot of things like on the East Coast, Midwest, it's a lot of lake whatnot that's just not conducive to bow mount. Bow mounts are great, like for like where what we do in California, deep reservoirs,
Yeah.
whatnot. I ran bow mount before bow mount was cool in 2015, like on the Delta, and it works well in the Delta, but I mean, if you get a rear motor with a foot steering system, an anchor trolley, you can do
Excuse me.
just as good
Right.
with a rear motor. It just people think it's difficult, but it's actually not if it's set up correctly.
The foot
Um,
steering makes a huge difference.
I can tell you right now, I could position my boat on the Delta with an anchor and an anchor trolley better than anybody can with a bow mount. And that's because I can use the anchor trolley to change the position of
Yeah.
my boat.
Right. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to fish over the top
But
of your
people,
rod.
honestly, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like people want to just push a button.
You think
But the downside
they'll
is
make on the bow mount? You think they'll ever come up with something where you can say if the wind's blowing at your back, you want to spot lock, a different direction? You think they'll ever make that capable instead of having that flip you the opposite? You
you
can't.
can't.
No,
It won't
yeah.
happen. It's not possible. That's why
Yeah,
bass boats don't do it. That's if somebody
yeah,
would have figured it out by now. You would have seen
that'd be
bass
so
boats
cool.
doing
I
it,
mean, that'd be
like big boats doing it.
Yeah,
yeah,
they go to the back of the boat and fish.
You can't.
yeah, exactly. They
Yeah,
don't have that option.
because you can't. Like just the way that the amount of control
The
that you
boat's
gain
designed.
from that's the reason why it's a boundary. Yeah, that's why it's designed. You just
Yeah,
will not cannot spot
Hmm.
lock from the backwards. You just can't. Um, and yeah, so I mean, do I feel like bow mounts are the future? If no, bow
I could
mounts
feel that.
that big in the industry.
Just the one tournament I did.
Even though
back,
everybody tells me like, oh, the Old Town guys, the guys with XI3s, they're like, dude, I know I've I3s like at one point in time in my garage. I have an XI5 that I've had since 2015. I know, I've seen it, I've done it. Benefits of the bow mount, I get it. But bow mounts are good for me only when I'm fishing offshore or when I'm not gonna say when the weather is bad or if it's windy. Because I still would rather have a rear motor at that point in time because having all that weight on the nose is not fun. But
Right.
like people that have gotten bow mounts and have taken them off and sold them, like more people than you think, honestly. It's not for everybody. It does serve its purpose, I believe, but yeah, bow mount to rear mount still wins 10-1 in numbers for sure.
Yeah, I definitely saw that being back in Oklahoma. A lot of guys from back east. There's predominantly, the rear motor for sure.
Rear motor. Mm-hmm.
And with the foot steering, it makes it nice. I haven't gone out strictly with the foot steering yet and just use the rear motor, but
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a crankbite or something like that, you can't beat it.
Somebody that you could talk to about that just recently got foot steering because I just set it up for him is Greg. Go ask him if you talk to Greg or if you have him ever come on, ask him how much he likes foot steering. Never had it
I'm
before
sure.
until this year.
I'm sure he loves it.
Oh yeah, it just
I'm
opens
sure,
up.
Yeah.
It opens up the game.
Yeah, David Morris, he won't even put his front trolling motor on. He just goes with the foot steering with the NK in the back.
Yeah, because it can do 90% of what the bow mount can do.
Yeah. Right.
And it can do it more efficiently. A lot of people don't realize that. People always say, "Oh yeah, I can put a 100 amp hour or 200 amp hour battery for my bow mount in the back, and I can get 10 miles out of it." Like I can put a 24-volt 40 amp hour battery for my NK 180 Pro or whatever, and I can get 20 miles out of it. Like
right.
Yeah.
Way more efficient.
And I think you and I were talking over the Headwater Shop Rancho. The front motors really aren't meant to be ran wide open for long periods of time like that. You had a lot of issues with guys burning theirs up because that's their sole mode of transportation at that point.
Propulsion, yeah. No, it's true. Those motors, just the motor guide. It's just that style of trolling motor, which is brushed. Your old that technology has been around since like forever, right? So those motors 100% for more than 10 minutes. Like they just weren't.
Yeah.
So when we do
30, 40 minutes.
30, 40 minutes at full throttle, like the XI3, if you ever open up the head of your XI3, I guarantee there's there's a connection point at the top of the head. That's a factory connection point is burnt up. That's what happens. I mean, you'll have guys, of course, that be like, "Oh yeah, I've had my XI3 for years. I'm running at full throttle. It runs great." You're lucky. Honestly,
yeah,
like because all these bow mounts are the motors, their armatures are literally machine wound. So I mean, you may get a good one here, you may get a bad one. There's no get consistent in manufacturing. So even though you have an XI3, like somebody else might have just bought a new one, and that motor might be a little bit faster than yours. That's not because it's new. That's just because he might have got a good one. So, it's just there's so many variables for sure. And actually the introduction of lithium to bow mounts or to old style trolling motors has actually increased the amount of wear that is applied to those motors because the voltage is higher initially. So instead of running at 12.5 volts like a deep cycle battery, old AGM lead acid, we're running these 6 volts pretty much for the whole runtime until your lithium battery dumps. So you're running over a volt and a half more, or around a volt and a half more, which those motors don't care. There's no electronics involved. They're just going to run as hard as you feed it. So you're
Right.
feeding it higher voltage, so which means it's going to wear down faster. So your brushes in the motors wear down faster, your wires heat up, all that. People say, "Oh yeah, it's if you run 6 gauge wire, it's going to help." I'm like, "No, because there's 10 gauge wire from your connection into your motor head and down your motor shaft. It's 10 gauge wire."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Run 8 gauge. 8 gauge is
I
fine.
mean,
Six
the
gauge, you can do it.
the
Yes, if you
length we're running wires in our boat, you're not going to have the voltage drop that you would in a, you're not running them 30, 40 feet in a bass boat around
no,
everything and through, different spots in the boat.
you're not.
We're
Yeah, I used to build. I mean, this where I came from, 12 volt low voltage. I used to build police cars and fire trucks and um, ambulances, and so we had to adhere to very specific um, charts depending on when when I say drawing at a 10 foot span, you're drawing on an 8 gauge wire. You can draw up to 60 amps easy, 70 amps easy if you want, probably even more than that. But so you know, but that's the thing is we because of technology hasn't followed suit yet. So we're using new battery technology and higher voltages. There are more of these motors that are kind of older design, especially bow mounts. We're talking bow mounts because
yeah,
brushless motors have been in remote motors now. So um, they're balanced. They're just not designed for it. And until somebody comes out with a brushless bow mount for a kayak or a small boat, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. Can't say yes or no, but um, would I like to see it? I think it would be kind of cool for sure. But I mean, market is very difficult in that segment for sure.
yeah. So
Let's say,
Donald Bailey, the
go
the
ahead.
swivel seats. I said swivel seats have been a big thing now with the new canoes and the Titans.
Titans, yeah.
Um, he was wondering the likelihood of being able to do it with your Hobie. What do you think? Do it? Don't do it? Bad idea?
I
Good
mean, the
idea?
likelihood. I mean, you could totally do it. I mean, you could totally do it. You can totally do it. I mean, with what you can make nowadays with 3D printing and CNC routers. I mean, I have multiple 3D printers and I have a CNC at the home. Yeah, you could totally do it. But would I want to give up? I mean, that Vantage seat is. I think those things are what, $500. I think if you were to go out to buy one new or something like
Yeah,
that,
Yeah,
it's some crazy money. It's a really
or
good
more.
seat.
Yeah.
So like, why why would I want to do that to go put it? I mean, I guess to get the swivel function, but man, I rocked swivel seats for years, and I'm 50-50 on it. Sometimes I like it, sometimes it's kind of a gimmick. But I mean, just being able to rotate, you don't have to rotate all the way around. I just want to rotate 30 degrees. That's just plenty, which is nice, right? To be able to twist your body and to hit those angles or casting angles and whatnot. I talk about casting angles like I actually fish anymore, but it's just kind of But can you do it? Yeah, of course. Would I? Maybe. But that's totally up to the person, for sure.
yep. So
So,
talking about new technologies. Oh, go ahead, John.
so like David Morris's kayak, he just built his kayak. So, how long
Hmm.
does that take you to build a kayak like that? I mean, when you look at his kayak, it basically has everything, all the bells and whistles. Tell us about the
Sure. Yeah. So what's funny is that kayak learned a lot from his old kayak. I originally built his old kayak. We started out very basic, and he just kept adding on. So a lot of things that we added on. he found out weren't very important to him. So we were able to subtract some items, kind of fine tune what is on his boat instead of having a hodgepodge of different parts that we added down the line, being able to do everything all at once. And then also him having the experience of fishing in a kayak for the 2 seasons or whatever that he put into his old boat. That's huge because he understood exactly, now because he's seasoned, his experience, he understood what he liked, what he didn't like. He understood what was important and what was not important already. So we were able to like look at this build and really fine tune it and basically boil it down to what was necessary for him. And so a lot of the stuff you see on his boat was transferred over from his old boat, but was nice because we were able to clean up everything and install everything, instead of as additions, it was from the ground up. So he's running, and one addition he did this year, was adding bow mount. Now he's still up in the air. He's still trying to get
Right.
used to that because it, you know, and of
Hmm.
course it's a brand new boat. But as far as everything, dual graphs, we had that, point one, Lowrance point one, active target one, micro power pole, NK. Well, he went from NK 180 to NK 300. The foot steering I had already done before, for his other boat. That's why we continued with that. Um, so I mean, even though I say we simplified, it's unfortunately like building kayaks isn't my day job. Obviously, I do it on the side. I do it because I enjoy it. And it took quite a while, and not so much a while as far as actual labor hours goes, but acquiring parts and making sure we got the correct parts and the items that that he wanted and that I suggested, because obviously that boat is new, so we had new parts coming out. Burley Pro came out with a new rudder, steering handle, the Hex 30 for the live scope mount. He had this. He got. I forgot the name of this live scope adapter for, changing from perspective to scout mode, but it's pretty cool. I mean, that was new. So a lot of the time that it took was getting all the little bits and pieces, like all the
Right.
accessories and all that stuff. But as far as like overall, guys, I probably would a couple custom pieces in there that I would probably say maybe 40 hours, something like that. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. So it's not like big amounts of hours, but sometimes a lot of it is planning and a lot of it is, acquiring the correct parts. And then, but as far as the actual bill goes, and I do a lot of like brackets and, that a lot of people don't do, and not so much, because, I feel like what I can do is better. It's more so availability. So a lot of the stuff is not out yet, and I have the availability to design and manufacture and make a part like a panel or a plate for a battery mount or something like that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
that stuff takes time, but his build actually, it took a while, but, and that's because, like I said, like he understood what he needed, and because he had spent time on the water with his boat. So that's
Yeah.
important. I have the harder time with people that, are just getting into the sport. They don't know,
Right.
like what is important or what, and so I'll make suggestions. But sometimes those suggestions go in one ear and out the other, and
Yeah. They
people
just
have to
don't
find
know.
out
Yeah.
on their own.
Yeah. You got to
Um,
experience it. Yeah.
right, and it's something as simple. Sometimes it's as simple as I want my throttle control on my left. I'm like, well, you have your steering control on your left. So you don't want your throttle control and your steering control in the same hand because then you can't.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But
So,
Exactly.
I can only make suggestions. Obviously, it's your boat; you can do what you want. But
yeah.
it is
Bill's
what it is.
wondering, can you add the foots like I don't know, Bill, you talking about what Greg's got in his boat, the 2 foot steering or the new canoe?
Yeah.
Wait for,
Yeah, the new.
you can do
canoe,
either or, I
right?
think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
And then,
You can do
Yeah.
either or.
yeah, Adam was wondering Newport on a Lynx.
You put on the links. I actually just did it.
Mount that sucker on there.
It's
Go.
pretty.
You're riding the wood.
Dude, I didn't do NK 300. That would be too much.
Yeah.
But NK 180 Pro on the links
Yeah, no problem.
is very, very.
Yeah.
You can do it, Adam.
It's a lot of fun.
I was wondering because I know you had that Lynx with you, or you're taking that with you. I was wondering.
Adam, you just have to call.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Lynx
dude, I tell
would
you
weigh
what,
less than the trolling motor and battery. Say
Yeah,
again?
no, the links. I tell you what, that thing's fun, man. Like my
Yeah.
my sister bought a house at Delta Coves, and that's where it lives. Because I literally go to my sister's house, I'll launch out of her dock, and I'll go
Yeah.
paddle the thing around. I went last week. I was hammering the bedfish out there. Don't tell anybody, but whoever's listening, I'm probably 5 of you guys. Like, don't go there. There's no fish there. Don't go there. There's no fish in that house. Don't do it. It's horrible.
Yeah,
Right.
Sean Beach would be upset if you go there. Where he fishes all the time.
Oh man! Speaking of the 180 Pro, Romel, you guys saw email alert the other day. You guys got some back in stock? Or
We
did they
do.
sell
We
out
do.
already?
Yeah, we just got them back in stock. I mean, we vastly underestimated how many people were. Obviously, the motor's good. The motor is a great motor, but the amount of people that were interested in it kind of surprised us a little bit. So we sold out really fast, and we have been getting stock pretty much weekly at that point. Stock in. So yes, we have NK180 Pros and stock. Tell you, to me, honestly, and anyone that you've talked to, I tell them the same thing. You ask me which motor I'm going to choose between the 300 and the 180 Pro, or even the 180. I'm taking the 180 all day.
So what's the difference between the 180 and the 180 Pro?
So the 180 Pro, meat and potatoes, literally, it's faster, more efficient, and it's quieter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So everything
I know
that's
Brian
important,
Brian
I
put
guess,
some on
about a
order.
motor. Of course.
I
Yeah.
think
dude.
Brian put some on order. I don't know if he's got them into the shop yet. Give him a call
Yeah.
if you need one. I
Yeah.
don't know how many
It's
you
a
ordered.
good motor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to upgrading here, hopefully, in the near
Yeah.
future.
I started off with the Torpedo 403,
Mhm.
and then
Great motor.
yeah, it was okay. It gave me a little bit of grief here and there. Kept getting this little error thing going on,
Yeah. Spray
Yeah.
WD-40 in the connector. And
Yeah, that didn't even help doing that after a while. I just had to pull it off, put it on, put it off, the
Yeah.
E30, I think it was. Anyways, so then
E30
I
go,
bought
yeah.
a NK 180. And that thing never missed a lick. Never missed it, never gave
Yep.
me any grief whatsoever.
Yep.
So, I mean, compare those
Yep.
two, save your money and buy the NK 180, definitely.
Yeah,
And get
mine.
yourself bad.
I'm
So,
definitely missing some paint off of it, and it's still going strong. Like I haven't had an issue with that motor. I mean, it's been bulletproof.
Dude,
Bill,
you know.
your foot steering, yeah, your foot steering hooks up to your motor. He's got an old Titan 10.5. Would the foot steering work on that one?
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
you-
the
yeah.
new canoe would fit right
Yeah.
on that, right? Yeah.
No, he's looking
Yeah,
at
the
a
new
double
canoe
foot
does.
like
Yeah, a little
what you
finagle,
got for
but
Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sky's the limit, Bill.
Greg's foot steering is pretty cool, for sure.
I like the ball
yeah.
bearings, nice and smooth. Like that's the one thing about the
Mm.
plastic ones. It is a little rough,
Yeah.
Um,
Friction gets hung up. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
yeah.
Now, I'm always afraid too whenever you go on full throttle, if anything were to break, you know what I mean? Where the new canoe, it's a throttle cable. I mean, this thing's not going to break. You know what I mean? You get the
Yeah,
foot control with the slider.
that's pretty. it's
Yeah.
pretty bulletproof, that system
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
sliders, there's always a chance something's going to come undone because there's too many parts in there that can
Yeah.
fail, And I always kind of paranoid about that. Although you have a kill switch, on
Mm-hmm.
you, the bow mounts don't have a kill switch. That's the other thing too, where you know will there be like a rule where hey you got to have a kill switch on that bow mount? It's not hard to put one on it. It's just a matter of interrupting the wire, and put an interrupter and attach it to you so it
Yeah.
unhooks the power when
Yeah.
you fall out of the kayak or whatever. Yeah.
It's not
Yep.
it's not hard at all for sure. Yeah.
No.
That's gonna
No.
take one person, unfortunately. That's how usually
Yeah.
how it goes,
One
right?
person, something's
Well,
gonna
look what happened
happen.
to Gene when he fell out of it. What did he do? Gene Jensen, that video he had,
Oh yeah,
hit a
hit that
stump or
stump
something.
or that
Yeah.
log, yeah. We went over. Yep. I
So
mean,
Yep.
Isaiah was wondering the prop on the new 180 Pro is a little bigger, right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah. It
Okay.
gives a little more speed then, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, inherently,
Compared-
it actually improved actually quite a bit, but like people have asked me, and I will tell you right now, like, oh, we're just gonna buy that prop and put it on my regular one NK.
No,
Don't do it.
don't
It's a
do it.
good way to blow up your NK 180.
Yes. Don't do it. It's not designed for it. Yeah.
Not designed for
Yeah.
it. No.
No.
And there's a lot of speculation that we literally just built a new and called it the Pro and changed the controller. No, it's completely different
A whole
inside, different
new
board,
design. Yeah.
different everything, programming,
Yeah.
everything. Um,
That's
so
what you're
no,
saying.
you cannot
The
put the Pro prop on a regular NK 180.
your
Well, you
power
can,
curve on
but
on the Pro,
Don't do it.
yeah, you
Don't do
right?
it.
It's a
can,
lot
but
more.
Yeah, so even
Yeah.
like my I have a bass boat and my prop on the front, my front trolling motor, it gets banged up and I got to file out and I file it clean, and sharpen it and stuff like that. Now, even though the NK and the Torpedo, if you were to get a file on those props, and you say you get on a little nick or whatever and you file those nicks off, you're going to change the way that prop acts with that motor. So again, you got to be careful on what you're better off just buying the same prop and putting it
yeah,
on and trying to
yeah.
fix the one you,
I,
you, you broke.
hydrodynamics is very strange. It's very
Yes. Yeah.
15, but
Yeah, get that.
yeah,
So
the
I
Pro's
know you're
good.
saying the power curve on the Pro is a lot smoother, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, I spent a lot of time tuning that throttle curve. The old throttle curve was very plateauish, so
Yes.
the throttle would come up like this and then flatten out. Whereas the NK 180 Pro, the throttle curve is very linear. So 50% throttle is half the speed of the motor. So on the old NK 180, if you were at like 20% throttle, you were going 2.5 miles an hour already. Whereas the NK 180 Pro at 50% throttle, you're going 2.5 miles an hour. Top speed's 5.5. So there's more range, accessible throttle range on the Pro. So I
Which
spent a lot
Nice.
of time tuning that myself, honestly. That's probably the most bulk of the time. A lot of it was programming and tuning and getting it to run that. So NK 180 Pro will run down to 1% throttle.
wow. And
Yeah.
that's real important too because when you're going down the bank with your foot control
Mhm.
steering and you're casting, you need to adjust these micro adjustments
It
to keep
allows
you.
you,
Yeah.
correct. It allows you to match current, match
Yes.
speed a lot better. So you have
Yes.
more range of throttle to play with. So,
Extremely
Excellent.
important. Yeah.
hmm
That's a big thing. That's a real big thing.
Yep.
yeah, it's good. I think Tim Percy did a video on YouTube, and he's got NK 180, NK 180 Pro, and NK 300, and he did running tests on all three, and you can kind of see that throttle curve very clearly in that video. Even versus the NK 300, the NK 300 throttle curve hasn't been tuned. It's basically a stock um, throttle curve. And so I'll probably end up working on that soon. But NK 180 definitely has the most refined throttle um, programming for sure.
Cool. Now, if you do that, is that something that's updated in the controller? Is it updated in?
Unfortunately, not. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's tough. I mean, we tried to do, um, but it's so hard to program those boards because their boards are water cooled because the main boards are actually inside the motor housing itself.
Okay.
So if we did an air cooled controller board, that would be a lot easier. But um, the water cooled board is more beneficial. We can squeeze more performance about not worry about overheating. That's why we chose to do water cooled board instead. So
Okay.
so no, unfortunately, um, but I don't know. We'll try to figure out what we can do that's best for our existing customers, and we kind of go from there. But we'll try. So
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But
Right on.
Oh, that's
Well,
interesting. Water cooled compared to air cooled. So to get something water cooled, you actually have to pump it or submerge it. Compared to air,
submerged, yeah.
it's submerged. Yeah.
Hmm.
So air cooled, basically, you put a little box with a couple little ribs on it, make it look like a fan or what, you know what I
Heat
mean? And
sink,
the
yeah.
air,
You heat
yeah,
sink
heat
it, yeah.
sinker, and the air goes through it, and
But it's
there's
just
lack of
literally,
air.
it's
Yeah,
not
it's
as
kind of
efficient. I
efficient.
mean, when we
Yeah.
talk about water cooled on our motors, water cooled is because the lower unit is all aluminum and it's
Right.
submerged in water. So it
Keeps it cool.
the whole motor housing is a heat sink, and because it's
Right.
in so much, so
yeah.
that's why we're able
Very
to
good.
squeeze
Great.
the
Yeah.
performance.
It's a great idea. It's amazing what you guys come up with.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Romel, I know it's getting
Oh,
late where
dude,
you're
we're
at.
having a lot of fun. Like I said,
So,
I've been around, lucky to be
oh,
around some very smart people for sure.
So how can someone contact you?
Oh man, best way, honestly, Instagram probably would be. It's hard, man. Social media is tough. I'm so busy right now. It's kind of interesting, but you can always shoot me an email too. So Romel at newportvessels.com. Um, Instagram is WizardWorks. Wizard WERX. You can follow me there. So shoot me a message. I will do my best to respond. Sometimes it's tough and people get mad at me, but
Yeah,
unfortunately,
just relax. Remember, you're busy.
I
You
can't
do
get
this
to
on the
everybody,
side.
so
It's not
I
a
try
full
my
time
best.
job.
he's
Yeah,
Yeah.
got everybody
yeah,
from New York to Florida back here getting a hold of him. So give the
Oh
yeah,
man a
yeah.
break.
yeah.
China. Actually, I'm actually going to China at the end of the month for a week, so
Wow,
it'll be fun.
He doesn't have a
awesome.
secretary, so
I do not,
unfortunately,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
they need to work on that for you, bud.
Oh gosh, that'd be pretty cool, but I'm not that cool yet.
You're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Definitely,
one day
definitely
maybe.
getting there.
yeah, for sure. We appreciate all you do, and thanks for coming along and letting us pick your brain a little bit. I
Oh,
want
no
to
worries. Thanks for
I want
having
to
me for sure. It's
I
always a
want to
pleasure.
see what's the next latest and greatest before everybody else, if possible. But I know how that
It won't
goes.
happen.
But
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough.
we'll see it at
Well, we'll
ICAST.
see. Pretty soon. ICAST, pretty
okay,
soon.
iCast.
I
Okay, cool.
I'm definitely got to hit a tournament with you guys. Like
Yeah, definitely.
I've been saying it, and
Yeah, come and
well,
hang
3
out.
tournaments this year, so we got a bunch left. So
You
Okay,
need to
we'll
fish
get
looking
some
forward
in.
to
bass
that.
at Clear Lake.
You guys got to show me how to fish though, because like I couldn't feel a bite to save my life right now. So, but
Well,
You're gonna
that's why
fish.
my name's Struggling Johnny right now.
struggle bus, Johnny.
Struggling
Yeah,
Johnny. Yeah,
Oh
you gonna
man,
fish the bass event in Clear Lake in June or
that's on my radar. It's on my
good?
calendar. Yeah,
awesome.
Good.
It's
but
going to be a great
honestly,
event.
like I just get back on the Delta. I loved fishing on the Delta, man. I've always loved the Delta, and like if I'm gonna relearn on how to fish again, probably do that and get my ass kicked on the Delta.
Well, Delta loves to
Like
hate me, so
I just like fishing that type of
Yeah,
water.
it's awesome.
yeah,
You shouldn't feel alone. It hates a lot of
it hates
people,
me.
so
Truly hates me.
it's
Yep.
kind of how it is.
Anything else? Last
But
minute you want to say? Anything? No.
no, man, just very blessed to be in the industry, man. Very blessed to really everyone that I've met throughout the years, this last 4 years especially. It's been great. We're in a different. We're in a awesome place. The community's,
Phenomenal
you
community.
know,
Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Great
phenomenal.
guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just really so
It's a
cool to
growing
meet
sport
everybody
too.
and
So
um,
I expect a lot of things going to be
yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, it's cool. I'm definitely too blessed to be stressed. That's for sure. So I'm gonna
Nice.
enjoy it.
We appreciate what
Right
you
on,
do.
guys.
Man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um.
Excellent.
Don't forget we got, John. You got a charity tournament out at, is it Eastman or,
A charity tournament. Yeah.
yeah,
At Eastman Lake. Yeah. And then there's the Gambler Series this
at
weekend
Salt Valley,
at
Salt
Salt Springs.
Springs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Soul
Yeah.
So
Springs. I love
everybody
that
sign
place.
up for that. Make sure you sign up for that. They,
Yep.
they need a lot more anglers to sign up and
Yeah,
do it right away, please. Yes.
If you guys are wanting to see this thing succeed, we got to get
Yeah.
involved.
of course.
Yeah, man. Romel, I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us. Guys, next week I know have Anthony Garcia confirmed. He's going to hop on. We are going to reach out to Sean, see if he wants to talk about Don Pedro.
Yeah, I got Sean.
And,
He's going to be able to make it.
Okay, cool. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have Sean and Anthony on next week. See who wins this weekend at Salt Valley Springs.
Yeah,
Salt
Salt
Springs.
Springs.
Spot, whatever.
Excellent.
I always miss that one.
James
Yeah,
Croco, isn't he going to win it?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
All
All right, gentlemen.
right, you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Romel.
thanks, guys.
All right.
And we'll catch y'all next week.